Hello everyone on YouTube. This is my second interview with Andrew. We are basically just going to start off from where we left. How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm good, thank you.
By the way, it's me, Seif, again, who's going to interview Andrew. My first question, Andrew, is I know you're interested in painting and sculpture, so what influence do you think this has done on your music? And would you please be able to tell me more about some of your favourite artists, maybe?
Yeah, well, from the last interview, I should have really said I was sitting in front of a big painting by a guy called Peter Stanier, and he's kind of really fabulous, kind of abstract work. And around me actually are some sculptural heads made of ceramics by an Irish artist called Christy Keeney, and behind me is a painting by Rashid Moutagalwi, who's a Moroccan artist, and I actually bought that in Marrakesh. I'm very proud of it. It was hell to get it back on the plane, but somehow I managed. Over the years, I've kind of been in contact with a lot of quite famous artists, people like Francis Bacon, Henry Moore, Bridget Riley, Leon Kossoff, Ken Kiff, all kinds of different people. I don't know how exactly that started. I think because I'm not, although I read quite a lot of poetry and things, I'm not a great novel reader, and I think I get more from short things or quite quick, immediate things like looking at a painting or a sculpture or something. So I kind of got interested in knowing more about these actual people's, their lives and their techniques and things, and a lot of my work is actually in some ways inspired by some kind of painting or some kind of art, whether it's sculpture. Another guy, John Davis, I've worked a lot with in terms of writing pieces based on thinking about his sculpture, which are amazing kind of heads and full body people that look a bit like they're from a Samuel Beckett play or something. So yeah, I'm kind of very keen on all of these different artists. I'll put some tags into YouTube so that you can look them up and find out about them if you want to. But there's some great artists around anyway. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can't think of anything else to say at the moment, so safe.
Yeah. Well, and I know you've got two scenes of your second opera, the Juniper Tree,
yeah.
If I'm saying it
yeah,
right.
That's right, yeah.
And are planning more. What other operas have you written?
Well, I started off actually writing a theatre piece called The Spurt of Blood, which I am going to put onto YouTube, and it's based on the text by Artaud on suicide actually, and on a kind of it's a very unusual play anyway, so you'll get to hear it at some point. Also, my first opera after that theatre piece was based on Alfred Jarry's Ubu, and I'm going to put up clips because it's had quite a lot of productions. I'm going to put up video clips of some of the scenes from that over the next couple of weeks, I hope. So I hope you tune into those, see what you think. But at the moment, in actual fact, right currently, I'm actually writing an opera based on Narrow Rooms, a James Purdy setting. He's an American author who sadly died last May. And this book is a kind of, it's like a tension of love triangle. It's a very complex work, but James Purdy, his name is, so maybe find out a bit about him, but that's what I'm currently working on. So, and the libretto has been written by my friend Michael Finnessy, based on the Purdy novel.
And you run a music group called IXION. How does this help you, your music, and why did you set it up?
Well, it helped me quite a lot. I set it up back in 1987 when I studied with a very famous composer called Morton Feldman, American, and at that time there was no performances of his work in England at all. So I set up the group with a couple of people who were also on the course, Richard Ayres and Peter Reynolds particularly, and we did it really just to get our own music and Feldman's music out there. And in the first year we were very fortunate to do concerts at the Brighton Festival and performed our own work and Feldman's work, and it was pretty successful actually. So I think the whole reason for running a group is that over time I realised to have people, performers that are so dedicated and able to play relatively easily and without too much complication some quite complex and difficult music, and not kind of moan about it too much anyway, is an amazing thing for a composer. And over the last 20 or so years that the group's been going, I've realised that the benefits of having players who really know how to play new music and aren't faking it and aren't kind of just there for getting their careers going or whatever, is actually a really positive and wonderful thing to have. And probably over these years we've played maybe 100 different composers' music, first performances, absolutely hundreds of them, you know, so we've really been involved in the new music scene recently and over the years.
And I obviously know you like going to concerts and opera performances. What have you heard of interest recently on what's coming up?
I suppose I go to so many operas, and I mean, Seif, you've been along as well, and
I have, yeah.
You know, they're good fun, and
yeah, they are.
you know, normally, you know, I go to such a mix of music. We go to music which is very old operas, Monteverdi, right up to something that's been written like a couple of months ago and things. So of course I'm involved with the whole spectrum of the music world. I suppose the thing I'm really looking forward to, I couldn't really narrow down one opera or one particular performance, but what I'm really looking forward to is the Proms this year. It's going to be my third year of being a season ticket holder and getting at the front of that crowd and cheering on all those wonderful performances and all those fantastic pieces that we hear. So I suppose it's the Proms that I'm most looking forward to. You know, kind of 8 weeks or so of committed concert going, and actually opera. I was going to say opera, but there are a couple of unstaged operas rather there. So let's see.
Yeah, and you are a teacher in Alperton Community School,
yes.
And you teach music. Now, how does that work with your composing life?
Sometimes it's quite difficult actually, because you know, when you're trying to write a piece and you've got deadlines and you've got people wanting those pieces sooner than they maybe even need them, it can be quite complex to kind of juggle the two lives. It does feel like one life where you're composing, which is quite isolated and in my study or wherever, and another life where you're running around kind of madly organising all these different students. I must say that I do love my teaching. I really enjoy it. I really benefit from it. A lot of people have said to me over the years I should teach at university and be done, and I do a little bit of that in actual fact, and external PhD examining and things like that. But I really enjoy working with students who, in some ways, you know, they don't all have much, you know, chance to do a lot of music things generally. So it's kind of like their chance to really get involved, and we have a really strong music tradition in Alperton, so it's kind of good. And most of the students, I can't say all of them, that would be very untrue, are really brilliant and really dedicated and well mannered and well behaved, contrary to what most people assume secondary schools are like in London certainly, and in the bigger cities. But I enjoy it. I really benefit from the range of students we have. We have people from all over the world, quite literally. So somehow it's just very, very interesting. I suppose it also connects up with my love of world music more generally. I've collected old kind of 78s, you know, the fast old records of music from Morocco and Algiers and anywhere actually, Japan, China, and I kind of really got involved in knowing about that music, and some of that has kind of come into my own work, maybe in the way I shape certain melodies or the way the harmony might go, but there's a lot of connections between what I listen to actually and what I put in my music. I mean, another example, going back to concert going, was I love the opera Rameau operas, and so basically I've incorporated elements of Rameau operas into my pieces, one of them being that you'll hear the first movement on my viola concerto, which is based on some little bits of Rameau put together. Anyway, I think I'm probably going on too long as usual, am I?
Well, we are unfortunately running out of time, but I would like to ask you a last question before our last 30 seconds. I know you mentioned earlier a new opera earlier, and so what are your other composition plans in the future, and what are you writing at the moment? Yeah,
well, actually at the moment I'm writing a violin concerto for a violinist that you'll hear on YouTube, Charles Mutter, and I'll get back to you in our third interview.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. I hope everyone enjoyed the interview. Thank you a lot, Andrew, for being here with us today, and we'll Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.